Wonderful. You can always count on Yogananda, right? And one of the main messages there, just go ahead and do what you want to help develop greater prosperity, greater health, whatever it happens to be that we do in our lives. But in part, it's emphasizing, but connect with God. Allow God to become an inspiration in all you do. It's going to make all the world difference, It shortens the learning curve. It lessens the karma, the heaviness of learning to do things and share things and grow and so on. It's just fantastic that he helped summarize like that. Can anyone share with me what today you'd like me to share or teach as a subject matter?
Intuition.
Here you go. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Passion and focus. The golden rose.
Okay.
Consistency.
Receiving. Discipline.
Okay.
Gratitude.
Great, thank you.
Abundance.
Thank you. Good, all right. Okay. Kind of a unique list of things today. It seems like all very practical, I guess you could say. Focusing, consistency, receiving, discipline, and so on and so on. One of the first words given was intuition. And also sometimes people send notes online and ask to have their things added to the list. So I have to, I'm drawing those up too and adding those together. Some of these, like discipline, we covered recently in a talk. I think we called it discipline versus disciple or something like that. So that's covered quite a bit. So I would recommend that you check that out if you're interested. Something I want to share briefly, a recap a little bit, things we've talked about regularly, but how all this began, how we got here. In one respect, remember, I said this the other day as well, remember it's like we think of dimensions in the universe. There are multiple dimensions. In Norse mythology, it's 9 realms, right? Dimensions. But there are these various dimensions. And in those dimensions, there are subdimensions and sublevels and all that. But there are these dimensions, and all of these are like the exhale of us, co-creators, us and creator gods that breathed everything into manifestation. Now, in one respect, we never left the ultimate God, which is not one of the 9 realms or dimensions. God is part of the absolute. It's all measurable things are part of the universe that became measurable, that became subject to, time, space, and so on, laws of the universe. So in one respect, it's great news. We never left God. Now, it doesn't mean don't study anything, don't do diet, don't do meditation, don't do techniques, and it doesn't mean don't read books. We're here, so we have a job to do. But in the back of our minds, it's important to remind ourselves, like when you're struggling, like, okay, I'm almost healthy, I'm almost healed of a disease, I'm almost creating prosperity, I almost have that new job. All the things that concern us in the doing world, it's good to participate in that, but it helps if you remember in the back of your mind, you're not even separate from God, so all the answers are here already. The healing is already here, the peace is already here, the achievement is already, everything is okay. It's already okay. That doesn't mean don't do anything, but get into where it's okay first and then do the doings. I guess we're going back to Yogananda's quote, which in a sense is connect with God and then do. There's this saying very common in Zen, in Taoism, so on, Christ consciousness, that don't get into the world of doing. And what that means is, it doesn't mean don't do anything. It means do without doing. Oh, well, that makes it clear. Do without doing means get into the beingness and there's less effort. Beings in ancient times could be in their consciousness and say to this mountain, move, and it would move. Those are creator gods. It starts with the separation where we closed our eyes. We had our third eye open. We don't have bodies, it's all metaphoric. But we closed our, we only knew the third eye. We only knew the oneness of God. They call Odin the All-Father because the all-seeing eye and so on and so on. So we're in this consciousness of God once upon a time. And we closed that eye and said, I wonder what it would be like to be separate, at which time everything went silent so that it would prepare like you do when you meditate. You get quiet, right? So once upon a time we're in God and then we silenced our mind. But in the silence, we said, I wonder what it would be like to be separate versus meditation. Today, I wonder what it would be like to be one. You see? Yeah. So I wonder what it would be like to be separate. In that first, we silenced. Then, I wonder what it would be like. So this silence is called the void. I wonder what it would be like becomes, boom, the Big Bang. And that's called chaos in Bible and other stories. So all this is true, all this happened. And in that moment, the Big Bang occurs. So the original primordial forces in every mythology is always the silence, the void, and then chaos. Whether it's given another name or whatever, it's always that, Bible included. Chaos, boom. And from that, from there on, primordial forces are created, meaning the essential laws of the universe, primordial force. It could be expansiveness, it could be light or dark, but not sun and moon yet. So all the primordial, they're also called aeons, these primordial forces. And the explosion, it's all expanding. And then the primordial forces, they don't mate and give birth. That's what is used as metaphor in Greek mythology and other mythology. But primordial forces, you could say as time's going by, they themselves birth a part of themselves that become creator gods. So here comes Odin and Zeus and whomever else of every different mythology. So creator gods are created now. In a way, it's almost as though it's primordial forces that step down their consciousness a little more material. And so we call it now the creator gods. The creator gods then do the same thing and become demigods, who then become heroes and then become mortals. But one of the interesting things is, are they separate beings that actually keep giving birth to different generations and they're still up here? Yes. But it's also true that they are expanding or extending themselves, which means that you and I who seem to be mortals are also heroes, demigods, goddesses, primordial beings, and one with God. Does that make sense? Okay, hope you don't mind me getting trippy there for a minute. So in one respect, it's all connected, it's all one, and it's not separate. So we didn't leave. We're taught by ignorant people, whoever they may be. I apologize if you're ignorant and I have offended you. But we're taught that God put us on earth. Yeah, the Bible says it, some people will tell you. God put us here. That's not what the Bible says. It tells us all about these layers. Even in the New Testament, you're hearing references to the gods. Even Jesus himself. There are these beings. The sad thing is these beings throughout history also, these various levels of consciousness. Why does it talk about Odin mating with mortal women? Why does the Bible tell you one of the big falls of man or beings is when higher dimensional beings mated with mortal women? The Bible's telling you that, and it says it created grotesque offspring. Something's wrong with this picture. It's there, but people forget about it. Well, how do we get home? This is cool to know, but remember, the best news is that we're not separate in the first place. That's one reason why Jesus says, when you talk to God, call God Father, Mother God. Don't call humans Father. He even says that. And there's religions where you call the priest Father. How did you miss that? Jesus himself, don't call any man Father. Well, it's not just like he's saying, or else I'm going to curse you. He's saying you don't need to, you shouldn't. Why not just go to God? When you say you want to contact deceased relatives to get great insights about the stock market, why don't you ask God? And if God thinks one of your deceased relatives happens to have inside trading going on from the other side, God might plug you into your deceased relative. Go to God, though. Why not? Because one of the big mess ups was when the gods made themselves emboldened and said, humans fear us. They see that we have power. Let's do what we want with them. Let's make them worship us. In the book of Enoch, we hear that was them cursing themselves. They got themselves in trouble, some of these gods, because those gods were supposed to be called watchers, meaning watching over humanity and helping us. Well, that's boring. We're gods. We can play pool with planets. Why do we need to care about this guy over here who stubbed his toe? And he's like, oh, God of stubbed toes, please ease my pain. And they're thinking, these people are pathetic. We don't have time for them. Let's just get what we want from them. Now, in that arrogance, they fall. But every time you and I think that we're beyond helping other human beings, we're doing the same thing. This gets really, really cool, because how do you connect with God? Anybody want to volunteer? Tell me the best technique for connecting with God. Yes? Prayer. Is that a good one? You guys agree? Yes?
Silence.
What is it?
Silence.
Silence. Silence is what you go to, but there's a way to get to silence. Prayer and meditation. Can we agree that that's in the top techniques for connecting with God? Prayer and meditation. That's a no-brainer, right? Good. You now know that. So don't be afraid or ashamed or inhibited to be able to say that to the world. One of the top ways of reconnecting with God, of course, they might say, I don't even believe in God, I don't want to connect. Fine. But if you do want to connect to God or a better life, prayer and meditation. There's a second technique, forgiveness. What do you forgive? Here's a simple technique. Here's a simple guideline. Forgive anything you can perceive with your senses. Let's just start there. Anything you think you see, you're wrong. You're mistaken. It could be anything. That's a drum. This is a podium. That's a flower. Whatever. You're actually mistaken. Those are names we gave things. But the names, when we originally, I can hear. There's all this download happening, so just bear with me. When we're naming things, God didn't give us a dictionary in the Garden of Eden and said, just look it up. Encyclopedic, books, look it up and you'll find it by picture and then it'll tell you how to pronounce it. Mankind looked upon things and named them. Do you know how they named flower, drum? It's because of how they felt about it. And it was all very syllabic, like it wasn't, I think that's a drum. It's more like dum, dum, ding. These quick syllabic, it was experiential. Ding, ah. It was these quick, because that's your experience. You're using what's called sacred language at one time that was experiential. The ancient Irish, the Tuatha De Danann, they're using ogam, which actually comes from om. So they're in sacred language, they're in sacred consciousness, and they're naming things. The Norse, they're using runes. But they don't do, like today, we're like so basic. You walk down the street, you don't honor namaste. It's not that ma. Each part has a meaning. Namaste. Instead, hey dude, how's it going? Yeah, cool, man, we're good. Like, it's so weird, it's so ignorant. There's not like a blessing. When you say goodbye, you don't say adios, like go with God. Jesus, peace be with you. He approaches people, he enters a room. Peace be. It's like, I'm not going to waste any words. If I walk in a room, I'm downloading a blessing on everybody. And if they knew really what was happening and who was in front of them, they should have been going, breathe it in quickly. Get every ounce of that blessing. And so churches talk of Jesus now, and it's scriptural, and it's kind of linear, and it's historic, and so on. To just realize it's not just a Jesus thing. This is a human being who accepted the full download of Christ consciousness. And his mother, who's actually his twin soul, so to speak, his mother, who's the Christed feminine, she's accepting it in her life. But he says, all the things I've done, you shall do and more, which means you and I are supposed to also receive that download. Not a Jesus download, a Christ download, which doesn't exclude Jesus because our appreciation for him needs to be there. Our acknowledgement that our older brother got there first. I think I'm very grateful for that. And I'm grateful for Mother Mary fulfilling her part too. And some religions are like, oh, no, we don't do Jesus. Other religions, oh, we don't do Mother Mary. We don't do this word, that word. They're missing the boat, which is another way of sabotaging their awakening. I'm not going to go into that Christ thing. What I want to do is what? What is your tradition? I do fire hydrant worship. Fire hydrants, when you unlock them, look at the mysterious meaning. You release the waters of life. See? And they can make it all mystical. Right? It's like, wow, it's round, that's part of the symbol of God. And it's almost like it's an obelisk. And people on the corners everywhere at exactly a certain time of a certain day. They gather around. This is not like you see this like a Monty Python waiting to happen, right? So, but this is what people are doing when they worship the mighty mushroom or the mighty whatever, tailgate party. And this is what humans have gone to. It's not don't do those things, but bring the highest presence possible to everything you do. Even if it's a tailgating party or whatever else. Bring the presence. Tether yourself to God every day and bring that presence. Forgiveness is if there's such a thing as a shortcut, it's forgiveness, because the shortcut tightens the learning curve. It just makes it a quick loop instead of this drawn out thing. So if I pray and meditate, which is a very important technique, we've all agreed, for connecting with God. Great. We need to know that and own these things so we can all teach them. Yeah, this thing, it is one of the only and best ways to truly connect with God. Say it boldly when it's the right time and space. But forgiveness, I could pray and meditate for lifetimes and not practice forgiveness if you think about it. Forgiveness is an important flip side of the coin. Because one is all right here within and connecting, but forgiveness is bringing it to the world that I've created that I judge. When I say I judge, some of you are going to think, well, I don't walk around judging. When you see somebody paying a bill at a grocery store of $100 and they pull out a $100 bill and you don't have one, trust me, there's something to that. If you didn't have a judgment, you would have $100 just like they do. You would have the same functioning car instead of the one that you have with extra air conditioning because there's no roof, because there's rotted rust holes in the top. This is not the way of God. In other words, as co-creators, it is actually possible for a woman to say, your will be done, meaning life, love, and then channel a child even without a partner, without mating, believe it or not, immaculately. Or manifesting a car or whatever. And there are religions and traditions that are all fired up about manifesting cars. I'm not into that. I'm not into my life's better as long as I can make everything happen and go my way. Though there's, some groups out there and traditions and churches that are into that. Whatever, that's just their thing. It's very material. What you're wanting to do is not just, okay, I want a new car. That's level one, really base. But you say, but I'm not one of those. I believe in God's help. So God, get me that car. It's better than I'm just going to get it myself, but it's still believing that this is what you're actually needing is the car. Well, I do. I have to walk to get to work. Yes, but if you pray for the consciousness of abundance, you'll have the car and everything more. You'll have the consciousness. Which we really want is the consciousness, not the car. But I have to forgive things that are limited consciousness so that I can bring in and manifest true higher consciousness. It doesn't come from like a book gave me the higher consciousness. A book can be filled with absolute brilliant truth, and you might not have the mind to soak it in. I'm reading it, but I don't get anything. If you're truly awake, you could read a bubblegum wrapper and unlock the secrets of the universe. You should be able to just see and hear because it's all there. That's why in ancient languages, Hebrew, the Ogham and the South American, African, all these originally had sacred language. That there was never just a leaf. What's that? Well, according to Botany 101, this is called a leaf and it has X number of branches inside of it. And so cell structure and how many layers of cell structure. That's not at all the truth of the leaf. So there's this greater knowing that every letter of alphabet is a concept. And it joined with other letters becomes words, and those words take you to deeper concepts. So to sacred languages, there might be a letter, but the letter isn't just a letter. The letter is a word, it's a sound, it's a tree, it's an animal, all these things. So when a maple leaf floats down slowly in front of you to the ground, you don't just go, oh, time to get a rake. It's going to be fall. I got to start raking leaves. That's such linear human thinking. A shamanic mind says, what is that? There's a sound, a syllable, a sound, a feeling, a scent. There's all this that gets unlocked. That's the mastery mind. What is this? Oh, that's a maple leaf. No, that's not what I asked. I'm asking, what is this experience? And so we originally, with sacred language, named things as we experienced them. But they are still experienced by you versus me versus them versus, you see? So we each have our own experience. But collectively, there are what's called archetypes. So generally, if it's fall season and a leaf comes floating down, generally there's a similar meaning for you, me, and for most of us. It's falling and it's the fall season. General archetypes can be there, but there can also be specific ones. Because if you remember, I lived someplace where we had maple leaves, and that was from maple trees, and we used to go and tap trees and get maple syrup and da-da-da-da-da. Wow, your experience is like, wow. Somebody else says, yeah, we had a maple tree on our property. I remember it fell on my father and killed him, and I hate maple trees. It's a completely different experience. The cure would be Mrs. Butterworth's, a bridge between the two. But that's another story. Anyway, that's my favorite. Anyway, just like out of the bottle, like, wow. But you see, like, what is the experience? Even doing something like that, even sucking down some maple syrup, what is the experience? Now a child goes, adults forget to make any sound for anything. They clench on pleasure. They clench on good taste. They clench on the awe of a rainbow. The ancient, Norse, when they saw a rainbow, they didn't go, oh, where's my camera? And Rudolf Steiner would tell you, go ahead, snap away. Because while you're snapping photos of the rainbow, you're not experiencing the rainbow. Yeah, he's a trip, Rudolf Steiner. So the Norse people would say when you see a rainbow, they would believe anytime you see a rainbow, a bridge has been created between higher realms and the earth. So now you don't just go, wow, cool, look at the rainbow. You go, wow. You breathe it in. Something magical is happening with a rainbow. The rainbow bridge, right? The Bifrost, as they call it. But, it's fantastic. Looking at sacred traditions and languages and people that once understood how all this is working. And even the gods that we used to, in such a beautiful way, acknowledge there's life. There's life in God expressed in all things. And we understood creator gods, primordial forces, demigods, and the hero in you. I really appreciate the hero in you because you have courage greater than some, so you could be a role model. So those heroes were held up as examples. Hercules and so on. These people actually existed first as beings and some materialized. But this is real stuff that we can learn from and say, I want to become a better person. Nice, go for it. But it all got lost. People started worshiping athletes that are on drugs to achieve better numbers and skill sets and whatever. And when you realize that, bless you, who is there left to respect? Who is there left to be a model of how to be courageous when you have to go through a divorce? How to be courageous when you lose a loved one? See, all that's lost. And again, a shortcut to this is Jesus, who manifests the consciousness of Christ. He doesn't say, well, what you really need to do is memorize all the gods and demigods and so on, and try to honor every nation's traditions of those gods. He's saying, no, listen, I'll tell you what, I am going to embody all of them. There's not one God that's ever been created, not one force, not one power, not law of the universe, primordial force, there's no being ever that existed that I will not embody right here. It's amazing. And so does the Divine Mother, because she's technically the one that was behind it all in the first place. Every God that could ever be was her. Every primordial force, it was always the Holy Spirit materializing. So she's the mother coming from the word matter, and matter materialize. So the mother's really behind it all originally, but people didn't get it. They got it to some degree because they worshiped this and they loved that and so on. But that was the mother ultimately. So ancient cultures got it, but we lost that. So Jesus is kind of going on the roundabout way. Here's the mother presenting these ideas and options to us, but sometimes we forget, we ignore it, we move on, we're caught up in our lives. So Jesus jumps in there, becomes a manifestation of the Holy Spirit, of the mother, meaning born of the mother. And he says, you're not listening to the mother anymore, so I'll materialize as the Christ. And that's why his role is huge. There is nobody else that did that or can do that. They can't be the first awakened like that. It's not like he's just a nice teacher, a good healer. This is a huge achievement to become a full, complete manifestation of the Divine Mother for you. And he's saying you're losing connection with the mother. That's why he said blasphemy against the Holy Spirit, which means ignoring the presence of the Divine Mother, is something you'll always be called to mind with. You'll always be having to face this. So he says, but I'm going to give you an out. I'm a manifestation of her. Listen to me, work with me, and I'll awaken you anywhere you are. Whether you're a lost God that repents for screwing humans up, genetic manipulations from alien beings, humans that have been cruel and hurtful to others, or people that have been just nice people. All of these can still await that moment to say, I want to put all my masks and identities aside, and I'm ready to experience the birth of the Christ within me. Not just the birth of the inner Hercules, the inner Odin, the inner Hera, Hestia, and all various gods and goddesses in history. Those are beautiful, but why settle? Just go to God, and God is synonymous with the Father, the Christ Son, and the Holy Spirit or Divine Mother. And some of you might be more comfortable going to the Father, some the Mother, some, it doesn't matter. I tell you many times, they all blind copy each other anyway. So it's not like, I sent that, but I went to the Father. I should have told the Mother that too. These are, the Trinity of God is one. So just communion. Prayer and meditation, or combined, called communion, is one of the essentials. And not just one of in 20, one of the top few essentials. Second, forgiveness. Forgive everything you can perceive with your senses. Oh, that's hot. Isn't that funny? That's hot. How do I know it's hot? Hot means it's too hot for me to touch. I'm God. Nothing can be too hot. Laugh at it. I'm going to prove it's not hot. Just laugh at it and go, isn't that funny? I'm a divine being, but I still complain about the temperature outside or, whatever it is. Laugh at it. It's okay. But also, if you're going to laugh at the fact that you seem to have these limiting beliefs like that, laugh at yourself for thinking you're an incomplete woman if you don't have children. Laugh at yourself for thinking you're messed up because you're aging. Laugh at yourself for some of the things that make you judge people. Laugh at everything you can experience with your senses, whether it's something you see, taste, hear, smell, touch, whatever. Just forgive it all. Now, that doesn't mean you got to go, okay, I got to go do 10 forgivenesses towards things I see. It wouldn't be a bad ritual at all to do that here and there, But it's not to become an obsession. Excuse me, at Safeway. Listen, I'm working on forgiving blondes. I need to, and you're blonde, so can I use you as one of my three? Just stand there for a second. Oh, Mani Padme Hum, forgiveness for all blondes, and it wouldn't be a very safe way, would it? So, forgiveness isn't just a good idea. I'm telling you. Prayer and meditation is one, forgiveness is two. We've got to practice forgiveness. It's not a good idea. It is what prayer and meditation is, but a short learning curve of it. Because if I can forgive, watch, if I practice forgiveness, truly, sincerely, I practice forgiveness. Somebody comes to mind from when I was 18 years old, and I send them a blessing that we're okay. We're both perfect in Christ. Peace to you. Got that? What you will get from that, usually, when you've done forgiveness, do you ever have positive feelings afterwards? Name a few. Peace. Serenity. Joy. Good. Those are the same things you'll get from meditation. But it might take you years of meditating to get those really established. You'll get it instantly through forgiveness. So forgiveness is prayer and meditation lived. Perfect. Got it. Those are the two ways to best connect with God. The best ways to commune with God. Right? We get that? Contact God. That's it. Now there's one other technique that I'm going to put in there. Here, okay? It's not the prayer meditation. It's not forgiveness. This one has to do with, check this out. I go into my day, and there's human beings, and they're living their day. Do you know some of them don't believe in God, right? Some of them, even if they believe, most people, God doesn't typically materialize in its full glory. So that means people have to live on faith, right? You've heard this. They live on faith. Most people don't see or experience God in their lives, correct? Correct. But if you are of service and you do kindness to other people, you're actually bringing God to the world. If you do not act kindly, do not donate here, give this, share this, smile for that one that needs it, a hand that needs it, a tissue for that person. If you aren't bringing acts of kindness, there is no God in the world. You have to prayerfully connect with God in a surreal fashion. And this is what we've done. At best, most people don't even do these, but do the prayer, meditation, do the forgiveness, which most people don't even do that. So at best, they're superstitiously praying and meditating. But some might go to a deeper level of prayer and meditation. That's great. Forgiveness is going to test your prayer and meditation and shorten your learning curve. Great. So that's it. Those two things are the unlocking of the universe and reconnecting us with God. Yes. But you can take those two and put them to application, but in a profound way. Bringing God to earth. I can pray and meditate and feel the effects. That doesn't mean I'm a different person with you. I can also practice forgiveness. But if I forgive one person today and I got 10 more that I hate from today's events, it's not helping. The third technique, don't forget this ever, man, for all of us. The third technique is not just the abstract God in the sky. We're talking about what if God, Jesus, Mother Mary, or whomever appeared to you right now and said this to you and said, I want you to unlock all of this for mankind, bring God to the world. Yes, what would you have me do? Prayer, meditation, forgiveness? Yes. But day-to-day kindness. I want you to be of service as often as possible. Now, that doesn't mean employed in service, acts of kindness. When you see somebody carrying something that looks a little heavy, offer to help. When you see someone who, whatever the case may be, they've got their hair beautifully pinned up and one pin fell out and it's, over here, looking like a follicle elephant man kind of thing going on. This thing that and it's like, well, can I help you? I don't care if they've dropped $1, offer to help. Anything. And now, to your ability, not what I would do, not me doing what you would do. Each of us, to our ability, to our sensibilities, to your limits of boundaries and beliefs. I don't believe everybody should pick up every hitchhiker. I support you in staying safe if you feel that wouldn't be safe. It's fine. But did you do something today? Well, I would have, but there was the only opportunity was a hitchhiker and it wasn't safe, so I didn't do it. I'm sure that wasn't the only chance you had. I know it wasn't. Well, all I did was get gas in the car and do the drive. Right. So when you got gas in the car, was there somebody, did you have $10 you could pay for their fuel? I don't know. You ask yourself, what can I do? And it's at least a smile. It's amazing what even that can do to lift a person's day. I mean, so many stories that are sometimes miraculous, surreal to the simplest. But I remember like an incident of a banquet with people at different tables and all that. And everybody looks chipper. They're at a banquet, so they're smiling and laughing and having food and whatever. But I remember one, and I just hear that voice. And I'm not telling you to act on every voice you hear, especially, if they're not good ones. But, hearing something and about somebody in the room is going through really heavy stuff. I'm not going to walk over and say, are you going through this? That's too specific and invasive. And they're also going to be offended potentially. What you might say is, how are you? Great to see you. Love that outfit. You see, bridge, connect. But you know what I'm doing? I'm creating the Bifrost. I'm creating a bridge between heaven and earth, but in a tactful way. Talking about your clothing or what. I might know nothing about fashion, but it's being used as a bridge. Oh my God, that's a beautiful, I love that color, etc. Oh, well, I got this here and there, great. So do you live here and, are you part of the family, the banquet, etc.? You're stalling so that space is made for something magical, miraculous. And all it's going to take, perhaps, one question without going too far and making them suspicious. Going a little further, and then it might just be, it's so great connecting. What's your name? So-and-so, mine's so-and-so. Great, and might be a hand on their hand that is the next level. I don't know. Well, I hope you're doing well. And you just maybe only hear, well, yes, I'm doing fine. What was that? Well, you caught it. See, you need to learn to catch that. Oh, you kind of said, well, are you okay? In this one instance, this person says, I was thinking of taking my life by the end of today. And this conversation builds and builds and grows, and that changes. You never know what simple act of kindness becomes a miracle for people. And it doesn't always go the way you expect. All I know is keep asking, Mother, what would you have me do? Honestly. I was at a Hollywood shindig once, and there was this gal, and I think she was sitting at the same banquet table as me. But her husband was a bigwig name and all that, so he's meandering, schmoozing, and shaking hands and signing autographs and whatever. She's sitting there, and I don't know who's who. I'm just sitting there, and So we strike up a conversation, and she's from Europe, and we're talking, and it's like, uh-oh. Do I say what I'm, You're at a banquet. Sometimes, you better just think about behaving, and not getting too cosmic with people. But what's your name? Da-da-da. I'm a little bit of intuitive, and from your name, which I didn't need the name, it was a bridge. From your name, I can sense that you have this. Now, I didn't realize that she's got the husband and what he's doing, schmoozing. And so when I'm saying to her, I'm talking to her. I don't know about the rest externally, but I'm sharing with her, this is the kind of thing you'll manifest in relationships. But remember, when that's happening, you need to do this and this. And I'm, downloading. She's like, oh my God, this is, and tears in her eyes. But part of what I said was, you'll never fully live if you stay in this kind of relationship. And then I heard that, oh, that will never change. I can never change that. It was very sad, you see? But what I'm saying is, sometimes you're not going to hear the miraculous, oh my God, you changed my life. Sometimes it goes another way, but you don't know if you're the first of 10 that she needs to hear say that. You don't know, and you shouldn't care to know. Don't get involved. That's kind of like the God's meddling again. Stay objective, offer these things, and stand back and let them be. But being of of service. There's glitches that can happen when you say, okay, I got the prayer meditation, I'm going to be practicing that more, and I'm going to practice forgiveness. Acts of service is 3. Not necessarily in the order of priority, but kind of. Acts of service. One of the glitches with acts of service is you will have some people go, what are you up to? When you offer to help them up. You know, some people, they'll wonder, you can't be doing it. You bring them food when they moved into your neighborhood, a little basket, what's in it? Did you lace this with something? There are people that will do that. If you can't handle that, then find other ways to be of service. And also not just the suspicions that you're a nice person and they're not used to that. There's people that'll get attached to how nice you are. Wow, nobody's ever been this nice. Marry me. It happens. Maybe you jump into things and that's why they haven't married you yet. I don't know. So you will have your own versions of these things that can make complications, that make you want to back off a little bit. But being of service, 1,000,000 times a day. You're going to have 10 opportunities while you're in this room or watching online, 10 opportunities within the hour, and you just don't know it. Somebody left and they left their water bottle, you see? After conferences and things, I'm a keynote speaker. I'm supposed to be escorted somewhere to be fed and, and fanned, and I didn't. And I never felt compelled to do that. I would just go and the staff of the hotels come in and they're cleaning and stacking chairs. I would go in and look for lost items, gather them, give them to the owner of the conference or the hotel and say, if somebody calls, there's a camera, always something cool left behind, purses, cameras, wallets, whatever. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you lost your keys, what would you want? And some people are like, well, and literally new agey people will go, maybe it's meant to be. Yeah, you could live like that. Well, maybe there's a reason why they lost it. Maybe you should just find them and give them their keys. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe they're rejecting prosperity, so they lost their wallet. What a weird way to look at life and people, so fatalistic. So we're looking for a balance of these 3, not one or the other. It's a balance. To learn to pray, meditate. And this is so cool because you could go to seminars and conferences and workshops and online programs and books that'll tell you, and you also need to eat right. No, listen, I didn't put eat right in the top 3 things. I didn't put which side you part your hair. I didn't put what color your clothes are. There's reasons why A Course in Miracles doesn't address any of those things. Because none of them matter. If you're a nice person, here's what would happen in parting your hair. Somehow you would be so surrendered to God, the Divine Mother would give you a hair fashion for the year, let's say, that would most attract people to you so you could help them. It's not about you and your hair. She doesn't look at it and go, that's the one. Yes, oh my God. You are the best looking 48-year-old on the planet. She doesn't know or care these things. Believe it or not, when you say, what would you have me do? The color of shoes, wearing 2 different color socks by accident because you dressed in the nighttime in your bedroom. 2 different color socks. Someone's going to notice and be drawn to you. And when they're drawn to you, the mother arranged the meeting. And people don't know this anymore. Sometimes the meeting is for you. Okay, I realized I have 2 different color socks, so now the meaning must be, I'm going to wait. I'm going to walk down the street and wait for somebody to go, hey, wow, what made you do that? Here I go. I'm going in. It's a mission possible. So it's a rescue miracle. That could be it. But you know what also could have happened? Somebody laughed at the socks. I felt humiliated, and I have to work on humiliation. How do I know when it's me? By how you feel. If you felt humiliated, I guarantee you, you're part of the need of whatever happened. Help people. And it doesn't always go the way you think, but help in any way you can. I've said this so many times, but if your smile is what lights up a room, makes people feel good, you should be using it. Not walking around like, I was told that my smile makes a difference. That's not a smile. It's when it's coming from the heart and soul. Just like when you give money, when it comes from the heart and soul, it's different than just gratuitously giving. Kind words when it comes from here. Constantly. How can I be helpful? What can I do to make a difference today? Is that all making sense?
Amen.
So how beautiful, because some of us are thinking, I'm told so many different things. And I've got to learn X number of asanas in yoga. I've got to be a vegan. I've got so many things. That isn't God telling you any of those things. That is the conflicted ego mind. What God would say is prayer, meditate, practice forgiveness, and be of service. Now, when you've got that trifecta going, that trinity of personal growth, techniques, tools, you will be guided probably to change your diet, to do more asanas, to do more breathing, to get massages now and then. All the things that people are telling you have to do to get to God, no. You get to God and those things then will be obvious which ones to do. That's how it all rolls, really. What would you have me do? And today I'm using this part. It's these three pieces. Being of service, prayer, meditation. Today in prayer meditation, I felt this wave of, let's say, happiness. So what do you think I'm going to be sharing for the next few days as part of my, hello, how are you today? It's my happiness level. You see? But the ego has its own trifectas, the opposites. Instead of prayer, meditation, communion, it's separation. Instead of forgiveness, it's fear and attack, judgment. Instead of being of service, it's every man for himself. It's individual thing. Me, what do I get out of this? You see? It's very obvious. And if I'm not actively bringing the presence of God to the world, I have to do that. I could say, well, I'm waiting for other people to be nice and demonstrate God. That means I'm a broken, sleeping soul, and it's not bad. It's not evil. It's just sad. Waiting for other people. When we step up, man, we're shortening the learning curve again. So, and it's not that you have to be perfect at this. You might have 8 days really on, 2 days off. In terms, 2 days meaning off your rocker, just really depressed and sad and angry. And it's okay. Because on the 11th day, after the 8 and 2, on the 11th day, new beginnings, by the way, on the 11th day, these ones, a pillar of ones, on the 11th day, I'm launching into 2 ones, which is 2, but it's 2 ones. So I'm all about going through this portal into a new life. I'm going to take all the things that I just went through, these 8 great, 2 days of heaviness, I'm going to birth a new life today and go into something positive. You see, make it all symbolic. I'm going to take these, these symbols of 2 ones and walk through it like it's a doorway. Find ways to reframe these things in your life. But those 3 principles, how beautiful. And people can talk into, and it confuses, it overwhelms. I just wish I knew what really works to commune with God. I wish I knew how to achieve enlightenment. All these people, I wish I knew which of these skills, because all these teachers say different things. I refuse to hear that. I refuse to overwhelm my brain like that. And you can refuse. Don't let it, because even if they sound well-intended, they're overwhelming you, which distances you from God in your answers. Take all their stories and distill them down. What does it come down to? Communion, got it. Forgiveness, got it. Service, got it. You see? So now, as I say that, I'm like, I know there's another piece of magic to that, and it just immediately shows itself. Communion, forgiveness, service. I got it. Communion, upper 3 chakras. Forgiveness, heart. Service, lower 3 chakras. See how these things always come back and reconnect and link up? Everything is simple. Somebody could give me a stack of Buddhist sutras and say, there's a lot to read. You got to memorize them before you reach enlightenment. I'm already enlightened that I'm not reading that. I don't care who wrote them. I don't care. And I'm not saying I'm against it. What I'm saying is, tell it to me like I'm 5. What does that stack of things tell us? Oh, it's beyond that. You can't be 5. Oh, that's really dangerous. To tell me that I can't know, because that's how you know you're enlightened, is when you can hear things like a 5-year-old and repeat them back to people. When you can keep things simple, like Lao Tzu says in the Tao. What I'm teaching, and of course in Miracles, Jesus says the same thing as Lao Tzu in the Tao, which both of them say, what we're teaching you is actually quite simple, but you're so messed up, when you look at it, it appears complicated. Because you have allowed your mind to drift off into a broken, separated mind. But it's really simple. So, which is a funny thing to say about Course in Miracles and Taoism. Oh, it's simple. That which is, isn't, unless it is. Okay, except on Tuesdays. What? A Course in Miracles, right? This is a Course in Miracles. Nothing real can be threatened unless it is threatened. And if it is threatened, it's not real. It's like, it seems complicated, but it isn't. But when you read these from your mind, it'll appear that way because it creates contrast between truth and confusion. When you ask the mother to reveal what you're about to read, for me, what happens is it's as though there's waves of downloads. I don't read linear words. It's just waves of downloads. I can hear a sentence from a song or request that you guys give me here, and it just starts, yeah, thank you and gratitude. Thank you is, by the way, an act of service. When I say thank you, I'm handing you back words of service. It's not always a card or whatever it happens to look like, you know. And you asked about passion and focus. How can you not feel passionate? First of all, you won't feel passionate if you don't know how to focus. When you have downloads and things like this 1, 2, 3 thing we just covered, if you don't know how to accept it, that's truth. If you do, you get passionate about it. Oh my God, I went and listened to this service for like a half an hour, whatever. And I left and I know these 3 things. Nobody can tell me different now. No, there's 3, but then there's 15 other things. And you have to know 5 languages. And you have to live in 8 countries. And no, I don't. 3 things. Tell me the sutras. Tell me the 12-step program. Here's the steps, and then here's the main principles in the big book. What are the teachings of A Course in Miracles? Hundreds of. Well, I got to go through the course and memorize. No, you don't. All 3, Buddhism, Christ consciousness, Course in Miracles, or other things, 12 steps, they all come down to 3 things. Connect with God, let it change you, bring the change to others, which is communion, forgiveness, and service. It all comes down to 3 things. So when you're teaching people and they say, what is the 12-step program? Can you tell me? Oh, well, this and this and this and this. How far do you want to go with it? You're educating them, which I think is great. But you might try simplifying. It comes down to 3 things. See, if you start telling me, and then the big books, it might overwhelm my brain. My brain meaning any of us out there in the world. When you go, the sutras, well, there's this and the 4 this and the 8 this and then this and that. And then eventually Buddhism was kind of a teaching of lost teachings that Buddha wanted to bring back. And so there's that connection too. East Indian, but yet also not. And then, you want to go into Lemuria because that's where it originates. But no. So how far do you take all this when you want to explain the Buddhism to somebody? Do you say, and eventually it becomes yoga and the 8 petals of yoga? Oh, but then there's 8 external types of yoga and 8 internal. You lost me at hello, first of all. But when you tell somebody all that, 3 things. Learn to commune with greater a sense of attunement, that is, with God, with higher self, whatever word. Secondly, let it change you in here. Let it change your beliefs about yourself and others. Forgiveness. And third, bring the change to others. Now, they might say one or all of those are exactly what they needed to hear. Anything else is fiddle-faddle. It's just all additional stuff. And it's cool to study the additional stuff. I not only do the communion with God, I practice pranayama breathing. I seem to go into deeper meditation. Great. It's still communion with God. I drink water before I meditate. Great. Whatever else you add, great, but don't forget that piece. Don't forget the forgiveness, and don't forget service. So how beautiful. We leave here today with this strange, deep truth. Something as simple as being kind is one of the 3 primary principles of awakening. To become enlightened, to become Christed, any cool word you want to put to it. Well, that's all cool. I get that. Yeah, it makes you a better person. But how do I reach enlightenment? That's how. So in some traditions, and I'll close now, but in some traditions, people talk about raising the kundalini. How do I raise the? Well, you take this herb. It'll force the kundalini right up and no inhibitions. Right. And then I'll be in Sedona, walking down the street, talking to myself, and beings that nobody else can see. Great. That was great that you took that. Listen, if you go to the mystics of the past, the mystery schools, the great deep teachings of the past, I swear to you, what they tell you is service will raise the kundalini. Being of service, just nice acts of kindness. Why isn't it more popular? Because the ego doesn't want you to see the obvious, the simple. Being nice brings God to the planet. It's not just being nice. I'm telling you that it actually, God is unseen other than through you and me. And when you hug a person that's crying, when you give somebody that needs help, when you help them with this, that, or the other, you're actually being the presence of God. If you and I are being nice, there is no God present on this planet. Isn't that amazing? Furthermore, when you don't do it, bring the presence of light, you are contributing to the presence of darkness. Don't forget that. Well, I just thought I'd hang out and not do either. No, by doing neither, you are contributing darkness. It may not be an overt acts of black magic or something, but it's not light. So you're still walking around in darkness and living and perpetuating that darkness. Let's take a few centering breaths. Good. One of you asked about thanks and gratitude. So let's focus a little bit of the meditation on that for a few minutes. First, center and breathe, calming the mind, calming distractions. When you inhale, hear the words, I am. And when you exhale, hear either the word relaxed or at peace. And it takes you immediately to that place, over and over, a few times. Let everything decompress. You don't have to have everything memorized. Don't focus on hearing a talk. Focus on changing, becoming a different person. Anything you heard that made sense, just let it in. Let it wash over you. Anything that didn't make sense, who cares? Let it go. Center, into our center. For just half a minute, open your mind and look at the world. What does it look like? How does it behave? How are people behaving? Look at politics, religion, science. Look at the world. There are still people everywhere, in every nation, every continent, that are hungry. Don't fix it, just observe that it exists. There are people who aren't hungry, have plenty of money, live in a nice home in a nice town, still ridiculed because of the way they look, the way they speak. Coming from a logical place, it makes sense that we would be a depressed race, an angry race. If you're not angry, it's because you're depressed. If you're not depressed, it's because you're too angry to be depressed. It's always one or the other, manic or depressive. That's most of this world. And it makes sense that we would all be tempted to go in that direction, then needing medications that mess us up even more. Just own it for a second. Look at the world not doing well. And then hear these words. I know nothing. I of myself am nothing. I don't know how to fix all the world's problems. I don't know how to fix everyone's life. I don't know anything, really. So I'm giving up my little self that tries to figure these things out. I'm surrendering this to you, God. And for the next half dozen breaths, hear the words that you choose. It could be peace and happiness on an inhale, and so it is on an exhale. This is your communion, your prayer meditation of the three pieces that we named. Prayer and meditation, breathe it in. Make it palpable. Actually feel peace and happiness filling your being. Feel it in your cells, feel it in your joints. Imagine it. That's how you accomplish it. Imagine feeling, seeing, tasting, smelling the presence of peace and happiness downloading through your crown from the heavens into your body, into your heart on an inhale, on an exhale, and so it is, and let it wash over you. And it's gentle, and it's steady, and it's affecting you. So that God goes from the heavens above and within our mind, higher chakras, down into your heart. It's not an abstract concept. It's something I'm calling into my heart and soul right here, right now. Now, owning that and holding that, maybe one or two hands on your heart center. Look back at the last week, the person you are right now, who just filled up with the presence of God, connected with God in the heavens, anchored it down into your heart. Look back at the last week at any incident, conversation, anything that you could have come from this place that you're now contacting, your heart. You could have said something different, done more, done less, done differently. Just give yourself a moment and let the Holy Spirit help you look back at those events where you could have brought a heart of service, love and service. And remember, being of service doesn't mean always stepping in and doing. It could just be a thought of love and saying, bless you. Now, we don't regret not having done it. Do this. Picture yourself doing it. Retroactively, picture what you could have done and see it done and see the effect on that person's mind, body, their face, their smile. Just envision it. A totally different outcome. As Jesus says, ye or you are gods and goddesses. We are, so we give ourselves permission to step into this. That's good. Blow your nose thoroughly, dear. Blow it so you get all whatever that out of those psychic centers in your nose. Clear, make more room. Lastly, what can we do starting today to implement what we called in? Peace, happiness, healing, joy. Just picture yourself doing this. What could you do differently starting now? I'll do this for this person, and I'll just stay open. I'll just stay open because there's some I can't think of right now. It's great. Just stay open. All I know is that I'm affirming and committing that I will be helpful in whatever way I'm guided to be helpful. see the appreciation on the faces of those people. Please know that on some level, when they're grateful, they're also thanking you spiritually for what you did for them. Even forgiving what you perceive to be their thoughts, words, deeds, what you perceive with any of your senses. Bless you, all of them, bless you. To all those people, thank you. Breathe that in. Breathe in their gratitude. It's not a selfish thing to breathe in people's gratitude. You are being the presence of God, so they're really thanking God through you. And you also, because you did something wonderful. We give thanks for this beautiful presence. Happens to be 11:11 on this clock. We were just talking about that number. We give thanks to you, Holy Spirit of God, for all the visible and non-visible miracles working in and through us. And so it is. Nice. Wow, what a beautiful day. Check in. How are you feeling? And can anyone share what they learned or heard or experienced in the talk or meditation or the sacred reading or anything else we've done? Anyone share? Yes.
Being a bridge between heaven and earth to make way for something more.
Being a bridge between heaven and earth. Be the Bifrost. There's a bumper sticker waiting to happen. Be the Bifrost. Anyone else? Yes?
Forgive everything you perceive.
Forgive everything you perceive.
Commune with God, forgive, and service.
Yes. Communion with God. Yeah, absolutely. Forgive and be of service. Yes.
Remember, we are all living aspects of the God and Goddess.
That we're all living aspects of the God and Goddess. Yes. Right. So beautiful, right? Yes.
With a healthy dose of gratitude on top.
And all a healthy dose of gratitude all along. Yes.
What is the Bifrost?
It's the bridge between higher dimensions and the earth realm, or Midgard and yeah. We won't go into all that right now, but it's the bridge between higher dimensions and earth. But ironically, A Course in Miracles, which is a book of Christ consciousness, also makes reference a lot to this thing called the bridge, and it's the Bifrost of Norse mythology. But the bridge is also the bridge of forgiveness that takes you closer and closer to higher consciousness, to oneness with God, the remembrance. Okay? Somebody else had a hand up that I didn't want to forget. Yes?
Realize when I misunderstand something, and get help from God to understand.
Yes. Get help from God when you misunderstand something. Remember, misunderstand. Understand means feet. The things that are under your standing. When you misunderstand, you've tripped. You've slipped. You see? So get up. Forgive yourself. You just slipped. You misunderstood something. Your feet got wobbled somehow, and because I was misperceiving. And anytime you judge, you are misunderstanding. Because if you're not seeing the presence of God, you're not understanding anything. If it isn't God, then it isn't anything. There you go. We're going to, I want to go back one step, and we're going to share our mission statement and then our closing prayer in a moment. If you join me with your mission statement, it's posted online, but it's also on the paper in front of you. For most of you in the room, there's a paper there. Repeat with me together, please. The global center for Christ consciousness is a spiritual center for students and masters on the spiritual path. We are dedicated to awakening the inner Christ and to creating a world of love, peace, joy, and abundance. Doesn't that sound just like our talk? Right? Right. Like being the channel of this. Absolutely. Even when you hear words like channeling. Oh, I need to know how to reach God. Is it channeling? No. When you're doing these three things, you are a channel. You see? I mean, these three, don't underestimate the potency and the power of that beautiful message. Those three pieces. Practice those, and then everything else is also okay. Practice those three and be a vegan. Practice those three and drink more water. Practice those three and do whatever else you're in. Write books, read books. It's okay. But get those three as your first priority. Okay, we're going to take up our collection and then do our closing prayer. If our ushers would be so kind. Be as generous as you can be. We greatly appreciate it. When you don't have it, please don't ever put trips on yourself about that. When you don't have it, you don't have it. But don't believe that you don't have it. Just see that you don't, but believe otherwise. And know, this too shall pass. Look forward to the days of greater abundance. Live it in your consciousness. We hold our love offering to our hand. Your love offerings, if you're in the room, go in the purple bags. The baskets are for any extra donations, people of lesser means or special projects that we have going on. So our prayer of abundance or the blessing is in front of you. Together, please, divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Thank you. Please stand for our closing prayer. How are you feeling? Good. Cool downloads, huh? That we're sharing here with each other? Nice. Pretty impactful. I mean, I really appreciate that you helped co-create that concept. It's not just prayer meditation. Don't underestimate forgiveness. But I love that we could turn service into such an impactful concept. Kindness, man. Random acts of kindness you've heard of. As some Christians would say, the concepts and the love without acts, without demonstrations, without works is dead, and it's true. Ah, feels so good. Together, please, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. Peace be with all of you. Thank you. You're welcome.